Bow chicka bow wow wow wow. Bow chicka bow wow 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 wow. Are we going? Are we going? Yes, it's live! Yet another amazing episode. Pirate Broadcast. Hello. Good afternoon, my fellow Americans. Oh, yes. It is time that we have a discussion. Let's have a discussion. Let's have a talk, my fellow American. So, as many of you are, if you're watching this show, then you're probably aware of what's happening in general. It's kind of a self-selecting audience, if you're following me, it's probably because you know something's up. So yeah. Anyways, okay. So I haven't really built anything yet. I probably should go back to my mind. I'm gonna hang out in here for a little bit. I'm gonna go look at. Actually, I'm gonna go look over here. Dude, I gotta get my stuff out of the way. So remember, this is my little model, right? This is the law, and this is the shape of society relative to the law. So I'm gonna hang out up here for a little bit while I go over some things. Okay. Oh, what a wonderful base. What a wonderful base. Okay. So, as you know, here, I'm going to make myself bigger because, that's kind of the whole point right now. Okay. As you know, Tuesday, I called out Joe Manchin, Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. I called him out, and I said, hey, Joe, are you stupid or are you corrupt? Because that's your only two choices, right? He is talking about something like preserve the filibuster, right? He's a Democrat and he's saying, "Oh, we need to help the Republicans." So I asked Joe, "Are you stupid or are you corrupt?" And Joe, oddly enough, Joe wrote me back. He wrote me back. He wrote an op-ed and posted it in a newspaper. I think it was the Washington Times. Okay. Let me pull that up. So since Joe Manchin was kind enough to put his brain down on paper, we can all look at the code. Let's all analyze the code. So here's Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin. Oh, wait, you can't even see Joe Manchin. Dude, here. All right, so now I'm not so important. Here, let me get me out of the way. Now we're talking about Joe Manchin. What? All right, Joe Manchin, the third, a Democrat, represents West Virginia in the Senate. When Americans vote to send their two senators to Washington, they trust that they will work to represent the interests of their state on equal footing with 98 other senators. I have always said, if I can't go home and explain it, I can't vote for it. Oh, okay. That's why he wrote this op-ed. He's going to explain to us why he can't vote for, or why he's going to save the filibuster. Joe continues. And I respect that each of my colleagues has the same responsibility to their constituents. Okay. Number 2. All right. It's no accident that a state as small as West Virginia has the same number of senators as California or Texas. It goes to the heart of what representative government is all about. The founding fathers understood that the challenges facing a rural or small state would always be very different from a more populous state. Designating each state with the same number of senators, regardless of the population, ensured that rural and small states and the Americans who live in them would always have a seat at the table. Wait a minute. Already, I see a problem with Joe's code. That's why it's dangerous to write down your thoughts, because people can read them and pick them apart. So it's no accident that a state as small as West Virginia, with a population of 1.7 million, has the same number of senators as California, a state with a population of 39.6 million. It goes to the heart of what representative government is all about. So what he's saying is that it's representative that West Virginia, Americans in West Virginia are more important, therefore get more representation than the people of California. That's what Joe Manchin has just said right here. It is for Joe Manchin, the heart of representation is that his people get more than those other people. That's the heart of it. For Joe Manchin, the heart of representative democracy for Joe Manchin is that his people in West Virginia, have way more representation than all those people over in California. That's a strange way of thinking, but let's go with what Joe Manchin thinks for right now. But I just thought of something. Let me go look this up real quick. I wonder, what is the racial makeup of West Virginia? What is the racial demo? Here. What am I even doing? I should do this in my happy browser like this. Yeah. What is the racial demographics of West Virginia? So here we go. Ha ha ha. Here, dot dot dot. Bop 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 ba-da ba-da. Yeah, let's just go like that. Here, cancel. Actually, here, 7 more rows. I want to see the whole thing. By race. I'm messing this up. There we go. Okay. So now we got this up. West Virginia. West Virginia, demographics by race, total population, white, 93%. A total population of 1.8 million and 1.7 million are white. So for Joe Manchin, these votes are more important than the votes in California. Well, what's the racial demographics of California? Let's look that up. What is the racial demographic? So here, look at this one. Oh, come on, dude. Hook me up. No, racial by race. Well, here, we're gonna use that one. Okay, we're gonna save that one. Okay, close that. And this is California. So in California, it's white. The white's only 60%, and all the other minorities are 40%. 93% compared to 60%. So that's why. Do you see why? Do you see why Joe Manchin believes what he believes? Joe Manchin believes the heart of representative democracy is that people in West Virginia get more representation than people in California. Why? Because people in West Virginia are white and people in California are not white. That's why. Oh, do you see the kind of representative government that Joe Manchin believes in? Do you see it? Okay, I'm going to say this one too. California by race. Okay. So we got that one. So let's go back to what Joe Manchin believes, right? Why are you not popping out like you're supposed to? Like you were doing so good, and then like, oh, because there's two of you. Aha, okay, let me kill one of you. There we go. Ah, oh. Okay. Okay, so again, let's go back here. Knowing what we know about the states of West Virginia and California, let's go back to what Joe Manchin said. It's no accident that a state as small as West Virginia has the same number of senators as California, population 1.7 million, population 3.9 million. It goes to the heart of what representative government is all about. So for Joe Manchin, white people are worth more than non-white people, right? For Joe Manchin, representative government means white people get represented more than non-white people. Yeah, that's the slime hitting me. Let me clean up the slime, huh? So for Joe Manchin, the heart of representative government means white people get more representation than anyone else. So for Joe Manchin, society looks like this. White people are up here, and everyone else is down there. Non-white people are down at the bottom. White people on the top, non-white people at the bottom, according to Joe Manchin. Thanks, Joe Manchin. I love when people give me their code. I love it. I love it. Okay, so he goes on, right? The filibuster is a critical tool to protect that input and our democratic form of government. Remember, what government does Joe Manchin want? He wants a government where white people get represented more than everyone else. So when he says our democratic form of government, what he really means is white people, specifically rich white people. So the filibuster is a critical tool to protect the government of rich white people. This is what Joe Manchin is telling us. He is telling us this. Joe Manchin is telling us this. And it's true. The filibuster really is a critical tool to protect the government of rich white people, which is non-democratic. Right? It might be democratic for rich white people. Maybe rich white people can discuss amongst themselves, but it's not democratic for the rest of us. Okay. So that is why I have said it before and will say it again, to remove any shred of doubt, right? Joe Manchin is laying it on the line, right? Remove all doubt from your mind. Remove all doubt from your mind. There is no circumstance in which Joe Manchin will vote to eliminate or weaken the filibuster. Right? The time has come to end these political games and to usher in a new era of bipartisanship with Nazis, where we find common ground with Nazis. on major policy debates facing our nation. Joe Manchin is coming down. That's it. He says, if we don't include Nazis, I'm not going with you. I'm with the Nazis. We have to. Joe Manchin is telling everyone he needs to protect the government of rich white people, and he is not budging. He is not budging. So, do you remember my title screen? Joe Manchin is part of the Klan. Joe Manchin's part of the Klan. Now, I don't know, why did the Democrats let Klan members into their party? I thought you guys got rid of them. What's Joe Manchin doing there? He's a Klan member. He just told it. He made it abundantly clear. He sides with the Nazis against the Americans. He just told you. Remove any doubt in your mind. Joe Manchin is a Klan member. Joe Manchin is part of the Ku Klux Klan. Remove all doubt from your mind. He tells you clear as day. Okay, yeah, I did that one. So think about the recent history. In 2013, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid led the charge to change Senate rules to eliminate the filibuster for cabinet-level nominees and federal judges. That's right. That's right. Oh, see, poor Joe Manchin, dude. Joe, this is an example of you being a boomer, not with the times, because you forget there's this brand new invention called the internet, where we don't have to take your word for it. We can go back and look for ourselves. Hey, look here. I happen to have an article from 2013 while it happened, and Harry Reid will tell us with his own words what happened. What happened, Harry Reid? Harry Reid, so by Steve Tetteralt in the Las Vegas Review-Journal, November 25th, 2013. Harry Reid, in a radio interview, oh man, I'm messing this up so much. There we go. In a radio interview, the Senate Majority Leader laughed when asked if the move he engineered last week will make it more difficult for senators to work in a bipartisan way. I'm sorry to smile as you can't see it on radio, but more dysfunction, he said? I mean, gee whiz, when you have a constitutionally necessary posts like judges, okay, so in other words, you can't get more dysfunctional than Republicans already made the Senate. That's why Harry Reid had to do it. Remember, the whole point of, because what was going on was, what's his name? McConnell was filibustering every single judge that Harry Reid brought up. Even though Harry Reid controlled the Senate, anything that came up, McConnell would filibuster, regardless of how mundane it was, because McConnell's goal was to keep as many judgeships empty as he could for the next Republican president, which would be Trump. So McConnell was engineering this plan a long time. All those empty judgeships during Trump's time didn't just appear out of nowhere. McConnell, on purpose, blocked all this stuff up by filibustering everything. So in order to get anything passed, to get any of the judges passed, Harry Reid had to destroy the filibuster. I remember it, dude. I remember when this happened. Republicans said the court's workload did not justify filling the vacancies, which is a lie because they did it right away. Rather, he said, Republicans didn't want more Democrats to fill the 11-judge court, which is true. That's true. Reid said committee already had broken down to where President Barack Obama was not being allowed to assemble a team because of systemic GOP moves to block virtually all his nominees. That's right. So Harry Reid had to destroy the filibuster, but only for federal judgeships. As soon as McConnell took power and Supreme Court judge opened up, he nuked the filibuster for Supreme Court judges also. So McConnell's just an evil person. So Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky denounced the move as a Democratic power grab, but Reid said, because as to what Republicans had done, if he had been in my shoes, he would have done the same thing. And he did. As soon as he got power, he nuked the filibuster for Supreme Court justices. Harry Reid was correct the entire time. So Joe Manchin's got nothing to stand on. Right? Nothing. Joe Manchin's got nothing. He's trying to call out Harry Reid, and Harry Reid was forced to do what he did because of Republican dysfunction with the filibuster. The same thing that Manchin wants to save. Check it out. See? Manchin or McConnell shrunk the size of the court when Obama wanted to get his Supreme Court justice in. McConnell said, nope, we're making the Supreme Court down to 8 now. You can't fill it anymore. So the Supreme Court was shrunk down to the size of 8 for 1 year because McConnell said so. And then as soon as Trump got elected, McConnell expanded the size of the court to 9 again and elected Gorsuch, a Republican, to the seat. Yep. McConnell was evil. So Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on Wednesday shot down the idea of Supreme Court nominee Merrick Garland getting a hearing. McConnell insisted in a floor speech that the vacancy should be filled by the next president. Right? So he waited a year until Trump took office before he filled that vacancy. So he just shrunk the court to size 8. So basically he lied because, again, right? But it was a lie because the same thing happened. Ruth Bader Ginsburg died within months of the next election. And so in a shorter time than Merrick Garland, McConnell filled that vacancy, that Supreme Court vacancy, while the election was going on. So this is total BS. So McConnell was just lying. He just shrunk the court so Obama couldn't fill it, and then expanded it so that a white supremacist could fill it. Right. In 2017, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans lowered the threshold for nominees to the Supreme Court too. See, by 2017, the roles had reversed. Republicans held the majority in the Senate, and President Donald Trump sat in the Oval Office. After Senate Democrats, now in the minority, filibustered the confirmation of Judge Neil Gorsuch, Trump's first nominee to the Supreme Court, McConnell engineered his own nuclear option. The Republican-controlled Senate voted 52-48 to reduce the vote threshold for confirming nominees to the Supreme Court from 60 to 51. So yeah, if Harry Reid was right, if when the roles were reversed, McConnell did it right away. So to go back to Joe Manchin. This is all bullshit. Joe Manchin is defending Mitch McConnell here. Joe Manchin is siding with the Republicans against the Democrats right now. Right now. So isn't it awesome when people write down their brain for you because they can't get away from it? Joe Manchin can't get away with it. He can't engineer words or try to talk his way out of it. He wrote them down so we can pick through them. And I know exactly what he's saying. And I can show you what he's saying. Joe Manchin is a Klan member. He's standing with the Republicans to attack the Democrats. Look at him do it right here. Generations of senators who came before us put their heads down and their pride aside to solve the complex issues facing our country. We must do the same. No, dude. You, Manchin, you are the problem. You are the one standing in the way of getting stuff done. You are the problem. You need to swallow your pride and sit down and be a Democrat with the rest of your party. You need to sit down, Manchin. What's with your big ego? Are you corrupt? I think you're corrupt. I think you're a Klan member. I think your hood is off now. The issues facing our democracy today are not insurmountable if we choose to tackle them together. Who is this we? Together with who? The Nazis? They want to overthrow the government, dumbass. Haven't you noticed? Don't you remember when they tried to kill you? Manchin, are you dumb? No, that's right. You're just, you're a traitor. You're a Klan member. No, there's no unity with Nazis, Manchin. You're supposed to be a Democrat. You're supposed to have unity with Democrats, Manchin, but you're unifying with Nazis. I wonder why. No, I don't wonder why. I know why, because you're a Klan member. Unfortunately, our leaders in the Senate fail to realize what goes around comes around. Yeah, remember that, Manchin. We should all be alarmed at how budget reconciliation process is being used by both parties. Well, why are they using the budget reconciliation? Why? Because it's the only way you can pass legislation with just 51 votes, the way the Senate was designed to work. Everything else is blocked by filibuster and requires 60. So why is everything being done by budget reconciliation? Because you make it that way, Manchin. You make it that way. I simply do not believe budget reconciliation should replace regular order in the Senate. Why are they using budget reconciliation? Because of the filibuster. Why don't we have regular order? Because of the filibuster. Why is there the filibuster? Because Manchin. So he's sitting there going like, I'm angry at me because I'm stopping regular order. Jeez. Manchin, I wonder if something could be done. I wonder if Manchin can do something about Manchin stopping regular order. Can Manchin stop Manchin from stopping regular order? I don't know. Does Manchin have control of Manchin? I don't know. Joe Manchin seems pretty uncontrollable. I don't think Joe Manchin can control Joe Manchin to get Joe Manchin out of the way of Joe Manchin. Oh. How is that good for the future of this nation? Senate Democrats must avoid the temptation to abandon our Republican colleagues on important national issues. Like what? What are we abandoning the Republicans on? What do the Republicans stand for? They want to like enact white supremacy. Do you want Democrats to join Republicans on issues of white supremacy? Joe Manchin? You probably do because you're a Klan member. Working through legislation through the regular orders that Joe Manchin has stopped in the Senate prevents a drastic swing in the federal policy making. Voting rights reforms, instituting health care protections, and changes to the federal tax code and business regulations take time to implement on the state and local levels. If the filibuster is eliminated or budget reconciliation becomes the norm, like 51 votes, a new and dangerous precedent will be set. I have a picture of this new and dangerous precedent. Do you want to see the picture I have of the new and dangerous precedent? Oh my God! Oh God! Look at these radicals! Look at these! Look at this guy! Look at that guy! That's a radical George Washington! That radical! terrorist, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and John Adams and oh my God, these radicals doing the unprecedented Senate without a filibuster. Unprecedented. What were they thinking? Well, oh my gosh. What would the founding fathers? Oh, crap. What would the founding fathers think of these radicals trying to make a Senate without a filibuster? What would George Washington say to George Washington? What would Thomas Jefferson say to Thomas Jefferson? What are you doing making a Senate without a filibuster? And yet they did. And it went for a long time without a filibuster. Right? Man, those radicals. Joe Manchin is angry. Angry at the radicals, Thomas Jefferson. How dare you, Thomas Jefferson, make a Senate without a filibuster? Oh, Joe Manchin's pissed. Right? You can tell Joe Manchin doesn't like the United States. You can tell Joe Manchin is no fan of the United States. He's no fan of the Constitution. There's also bipartisan support for voting reform. No, there's not. Republicans want to stop voting. That's not bipartisan. Unless you want to stop voting. Also, Joe Manchin, I guess if you are the bipartisan vote for voter suppression, you're probably in the wrong party. And many of the initiatives outlined in the For the People Act, our ultimate goal should be to restore bipartisan faith. No, dude, Nazis are not your friend. Like, that's their whole point. They're trying to discredit democracy. You can't compromise with Nazis. You can't be friends with Nazis. Their whole idea is to delegitimize democracy. The whole point that Republicans have is to delegitimize democracy. That is their whole shtick. If you want to promote democracy and the person you want to compromise with wants to delegitimize democracy, what is the compromise that Joe Manchin wants? Oh, I know what it is. How about we only delegitimize voting for some people, but we allow it for other people, like, white people. Oh, that's a good compromise that Joe Manchin will get behind. If you elevate the votes of white people and depress the votes of minorities, Joe Manchin will get behind that kind of compromise. See what I mean? You see what I mean? Joe Manchin is a Klan member. We will not solve our nation's problem in one Congress if we seek only partisan solutions. Well, no, if you keep standing in the way. Instead of fixating on eliminating the filibuster or shortcutting the legislative process through the budget reconciliation, it's time we do our jobs. Yes, right? If Joe Manchin keeps the filibuster like he wants, then we're done. After reconciliation, Senate is done, and the House is done because nothing else gets passed. We're finished. Republicans won't pass anything. They will never ever join the Democrats on anything. So Joe Manchin says, after budget reconciliation, I'm finished. I want to go home. That's what Joe Manchin says. So, but wait, I want to go back. Right? He mentioned something about the history. Next one. So the filibusters are a critical tool to protect that input. our democratic form of government, the form of government of rich white men. Now, I want to show you why that's important, right? Because there's no circumstance in which Joe Manchin will vote to eliminate or weaken the filibuster, because it is a critical tool for protecting the democratic or protecting the government of rich white men. Let's look at this, right? I want you to understand the history, right, that Joe Manchin is protecting, right? So we have a historian. We have Dr. Kevin Cruz, who shows you the history of the filibuster that Joe Manchin wants to protect. So it was a filibuster against civil rights in 1874, filibuster against civil rights 1875, filibuster against a pension for a black official 1906, filibuster against confirmation of a black official 1909. Very important for Joe Manchin to protect white supremacy. Joe Manchin is insistent that he protect white supremacy. Joe Manchin is a Klan member, and as a member of the Ku Klux Klan, Joe Manchin is honor bound to protect white supremacy. That's why Joe Manchin is not going to change. Look at the important things, that the important tool, the important place of the filibuster in maintaining the government of white supremacy. Joe Manchin wants to protect the government of white supremacy. Look how important the filibuster is, right? Without the filibuster, you'd have a civil rights bill back in 1800 something. Civil rights bill, all-night session of the House. Blah, 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 blah. An all-night-long session of the House, the day and night spent in meaningless voting on motions to adjourn made by the Democratic filibusters, determined attitude of the Republicans, the partisan opposition uniting them on the question, a trial of physical endurance and how it may end, right? Because back then the Democrats were the conservative party, and they were fighting tooth and nail to stop black people from having rights. With the filibuster, Joe Manchin protecting that legacy. Democrats filibuster to the last ditch. Bill reportedly favored in 9 Congresses passes the House. Williams, Ingers, Cannon. Yeah, Joe Manchin protecting this legacy. Negro steps aside so not to cause embarrassment to Taft. Senator by filibuster recently prevented confirmation. Right? It's important that Joe Manchin preserve the legacy of racism and white supremacy. Right? If you look from Joe Manchin's perspective, everything he's doing is making sense. Right? From the perspective of a Klan member who's protecting white supremacy, Joe Manchin is serving his elites, his masters. So again, filibuster against anti-lynching bill, 1921. Filibuster against anti-lynching bill, 1922. Filibuster against anti-lynching bill, 1925. Filibuster against monuments to black World War I veterans, 1926. Very, very important to Joe Manchin and white supremacists that the filibuster be maintained. It's very important. Southern men fight anti-lynching bill. Oh, the legacy of Joe Manchin. Filibuster in House in vain effort to prevent its consideration. Democrats charge Republicans seek only to gain Negro votes in the South. So yeah, Joe Manchin is very, very important that he maintains his connection to racism. Debate is started in House over dire anti-lynching bill. Democratic opponents conduct determined filibuster. Congress gets anti-lynching bill again Monday. Bill won't become law unless Dawes wins fight against filibuster. Bill for erection of AEF monument passed. Democrats in House filibuster for 3 hours against honoring Negro troops, claiming no distinction should be made. So look at the history that Joe Manchin is with. He's like, I am with these segregationists against the Americans. I stand with against the Union. Joe Manchin is a strong proponent of racism and against the United States. I think Joe Manchin, if he could, he would join the Confederate States of America against the United States. If he could bring West Virginia back into the Confederacy, I'm pretty sure Joe Manchin would do that. The filibuster that Joe Manchin wants to protect. Filibuster against anti-lynching bill, 1935. Filibuster against anti-lynching bill, 1938. Filibuster against bill targeting racial discrimination in employment, 1945. Filibuster against Truman civil rights proposals, 1948. Senate in jam on anti-lynching bill, right? Filibuster by South holds up bonus and other bills. Lynch bill filibuster drones on in Senate. Bilbo again calls for voluntary migration of Negroes to Africa to solve problem. Joe Manchin, wow, he picks some great people to associate with, doesn't he? That right there. That's Joe Manchin's buddy. That's Joe Manchin right there. Joe Manchin's buddy, filibusters, right? Because Joe Manchin loves the filibuster. Dixie Rebel, that's Joe Manchin. Dixie Rebels plot, new civil rights filibuster. Oh, Dixie Rebels, that's Joe Manchin. You know, West Virginia split off from Virginia so they wouldn't be with the Confederate States. But Joe Manchin is determined to bring West Virginia back to the Confederacy. There's Joe Manchin right there, Dixie Rebels. All right, Joe Manchin. So look, but it goes on. Joe Manchin's awesome legacy. Joe Manchin filibusters against Truman civil rights proposal, 1949. Joe Manchin filibusters against Truman civil rights proposals, 1950. Joe Manchin against measures to fight housing discrimination, 1954. Joe Manchin against civil rights bill, 1957. Wait, what? We're on this one. 1957. Joe Manchin to filibuster against civil rights. Because every time it says filibuster, that's Joe Manchin. Because he's the one who wants to keep the filibuster. So Joe Manchin begins Senate filibuster on civil rights. Joe Manchin began today his prearranged filibuster against Senate consideration of the bill to create a federal Fair Employment Practices Commission. Joe Manchin stops it. See anti-civil rights filibuster in Senate over housing provisions. Filibuster drive on civil rights. Seen in Senate. Joe Manchin filibusters against civil rights, 1960. Joe Manchin against civil rights, 1962. Joe Manchin against civil rights, 1963. Joe Manchin filibusters against civil rights, 1964. Joe Manchin sets Senate for filibuster against civil rights. Joe Manchin sets Senate to face filibuster on civil rights. Joe Manchin, Senate liberals vow fight for civil rights. But Joe Manchin maintains the filibuster against them. Joe Manchin's civil rights filibuster in high gear. Joe Manchin filibusters against civil rights, 1966. Joe Manchin filibusters against civil rights, 1968. Joe Manchin filibusters against targeting employment discrimination, 1972. Joe Manchin filibusters against civil rights, 1976. Wow, what a great history, Joe Manchin. Bill to halt filibuster on civil rights bill fails for Democrats. So that's Joe Manchin preserves the filibuster to stop civil rights. Great job. Civil rights bill faces Manchin filibuster. The Manchin civil rights filibuster. Manchin filibuster apparently doomed civil rights bill. God, Manchin, you're going to be awesome. Filibuster against Extension of Voting Rights Act, 1982. Filibuster against creation of MLK Day and federal holiday, 1983. Filibuster against Civil Rights Bill, 1984. Senators debate Voting Rights Act. Manchin vows to filibuster a new version of 1965 law until the cows come home. Manchin set to filibuster King Holiday Bill. Action on Civil Rights Bill mired by Manchin filibuster. Target of criticism, Senate Leader Joe Manchin. So this is, so this is the legacy of Joe Manchin, right? Because Joe Manchin is going to filibuster the Civil Rights Act that's moving through the Senate Bill 1. Joe Manchin's going to filibuster it. So it's not going to pass. So that means all of these states are get to pass their voter suppression laws, right? And you can see most of the voter suppression laws are concentrated in the old Confederacy, but a lot of the voter suppression laws are being passed in like surprisingly non-Confederate states. So like there's a lot of voter suppression coming along, and they intend to stop democracy in the United States. Joe Manchin is gonna put the nail in the coffin. Because Joe Manchin is going to filibuster Senate Bill 1, all these bills are going to pass, which means all the votes are going to be suppressed in 2022, which means Senate Democrats and Senate Democrats and House Democrats lose the houses. They lose their jobs, and then the Republicans take power. So then nothing more will get done. No more bills will get passed because Joe Biden will block them all. And then 2024 comes up, and then Joe Biden will lose because of voter suppression to whoever the Republican is. And then we're in dictatorship. So that's the future that Joe Manchin is setting us up for. He's going to be Judas. He's going to be remembered as being Judas. But it's not like we didn't know. He wrote down code to let everyone know who he is. He told everyone, look, guys, I'm a Klan member. Look at the history I want to protect. That filibuster was used for 100 years to stop the rise of multiracial democracy. And Joe Manchin, as a member of the Ku Klux Klan, is going to ensure that white supremacy maintains control over the U.S. Over the government, and that minority rule takes power in the United States. Joe Manchin swears upon it. He is never going to change. So we have to start thinking about a future in which this happens, because Joe Manchin is going to end the Senate after budget reconciliation. There'll be nothing else. Joe Manchin will finish it after that. I mean, technically, the Senate is still in session, and technically, the Senate leader, Schumer, can bring up bills, but nothing will ever pass because every bill will be filibustered. Joe Manchin will filibuster every bill, so nothing else gets done. You can't pass any other bills with just 51 votes except the budget reconciliation bill. That's the only one. So after they're done with that one, Joe Manchin wants to call it a day and just close up shop. Well, he'd be open if you want to compromise with Nazis. Joe Manchin will allow a vote if Democrats want to do some Nazi priorities like ending voting. He'll allow a vote for that. But if Democrats don't want to work with Nazis, then Joe Manchin's going to end the Senate session, and we have to wait until the Democrats will lose power in 2022, and then Joe Manchin won't matter anymore. So yeah, he's pretty much writing himself out. But Joe Manchin's going to be okay. Don't worry, right? Even if he loses his election, Joe Manchin, he's served long enough to get a fat pension and the best health care. So Joe Manchin by himself is already set. That's before we even talk about all the bonuses he gets for helping the Ku Klux Klan maintain power, because they're going to hook him up fat. for betraying the Democrats. Yeah, without Joe Manchin, the Republicans wouldn't be able to take back power. I'm afraid that it's going to lead to a civil war. Because, like, sure, Joe Manchin might be happy with minority rule, but the Americans aren't. And like I said, when your form and your content are so radically different that, you know, when the form no longer reflects the content, it breaks. So when Joe Manchin delivers the United States to the Confederates, like, yeah, they might control the federal government, but it's gonna break. It's gonna end up in civil war, because Americans aren't down for minority rule. You can't force minority rule on Americans. So Joe Manchin might get his 30 pieces of silver. And he might get a nice retirement with his pension. Maybe. But when America descends in civil war, I don't know. How like you gotta think about this in the long term. I mean, you answer. I asked you, are you corrupt or are you stupid? And you answered me, you're corrupt. But you have to know that like, you're not going to be protected by your friends forever. Like, corruption isn't the very best of protections. Ask Vladimir Putin how safe he feels. So yeah, what are the options of the Democrats? I mean, if the Democrats are going to take him at his word, then what? Nancy Pelosi can, or not Nancy Pelosi? I don't know. Schumer. Schumer. Yeah, Schumer can take away any committee assignments that Manchin has. I mean, Manchin came out as a Klan member. How can you let him have anything? You don't let him have anything. Like. Like, maybe take away his committee memberships after the reconciliation vote, because after reconciliation, Manchin's gonna end the session. So after that, you don't need him anymore. So you can take away his committee. I mean, his committee assignments don't mean anything because he's not gonna let any legislation get passed. But I don't know what you can do. There's not really anything you can do to him, right? He doesn't care if he doesn't get reelected. He doesn't care if you take away his committee assignments, because he's not going to get reelected. He's getting his reward from his Republican friends, not from the Democrats. I don't know what you. Yeah, it's Manchin and Sinema. Sinema is a white supremacist too. She's a Klan. I don't know. Do they have Klan members in Arizona, or are they just like Nazis? I don't know. But yeah, it's not just Joe Manchin. It's also Sinema. Sinema, I think, is a white supremacist. Well, I know she's a white supremacist. I don't know if she's a Klan member. I'm pretty sure, being from West Virginia, yeah, I'm pretty sure Joe Manchin's a Klan member, part of the Ku Klux Klan. I don't know how the Democrats could tolerate him. Like, he came out. How could you stand next to the guy? I would get angry at him for being such a traitor, for being so two-faced. It's like he put on a face as a Democrat, but he was like, I'm actually a Klan member. I'm actually a Republican. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Dude, I would hate that guy. I would get very, very, very angry if someone did that to me and tried to be nice to me in my face. Yeah, we got to figure out what we're going to do, because it's going to get ugly. It's going to get bad. Yeah. I don't know. Don't Democrats like vet their candidates? How can you let white supremacists into your party? Yeah, white supremacists infiltrated law enforcement and they infiltrated the Democratic Party. So we already know Republicans are Nazis. We already know Republicans are traitors. We already know Republicans tried to kill Congress. That's established, right? I've already given up on Republicans. They're the enemy of the United States. But when Democrats, who are arguably on the side of democracy, when you're betrayed by a Democrat, oh man, that sucks. Like, I already knew Joe Biden wasn't like fully on board. but Manchin is like actively hostile to the Democrats. So I don't know any solutions. I don't know what kind of pressure you could possibly do on Manchin. He's a Klan member. You don't change Klan members. You should have checked him out before you let him become senator. Before you supported him, is what I'm saying. This is on you, Democrats. You let a Klan member into your party, and he delivered the government to the enemy. He's going to deliver the United States to the Confederates. You let a Klan member into the Senate, into your party, and he's going to betray you and deliver the Senate, deliver the country to the Confederacy. Man, Joe Manchin, you're going to be hated for like ever. History is going to remember you, Joe Manchin. They're going to hate you. You're going to be up there with Judas. The guy who betrayed the United States. When the Democrats finally got control of the government, Joe Manchin took off his mask and said, I'm actually a Republican. I'm going to give it back to the Republicans. Ha, 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 ha. I will kill democracy. That's Joe Manchin. Yeah, I have lots of hate for Joe Manchin. I have lots of hate. I mean, at least some racists will come out and be honest about it. But Joe Manchin like hides. He tries to pretend he's not. And then when you need him, his mask comes off, and he's like, I'm a Klan member. All right, I don't know what else to do. I've shown you the history of the filibuster that Joe Manchin wants to protect. I've shown you that Joe Manchin is a Klan member. Now it's up to I don't know what. I don't know what can be done about a Klan member being in the Senate. In the Democrats. What are you going to do, Democrats, now that you know that a Klan member is in your ranks? A couple Klan members are in your ranks. What are you guys going to do? All right, I'm out. Peace.